Hi everyone, I'm Clio, also known as Kiri. I would first like to thank Kania and Deborah for having me at this event, and very happy to meet Suraya, Jejon, and maybe Olivecoat. Right. So a little about myself. I'm a self-taught artist, the author of Lucifer. So these are two of my books. I started drawing anime-style characters sometime during my secondary school days, and only started doing comics a couple of years later. Besides comics, I also enjoy playing piano and playing video games. Right, so this is a simple timeline of some of my milestones. Basically, I started doing comics in 2015. Where I started the first chapter of this title, Lucifer. And during that year, I also did a short comic called Time Destination for SG50 comics anthology in Singapore. And basically, for the past few years, I'm working on this title. Currently, is at its 5th book, and working on the next one. Okay, so also to share with you what has inspired me and led me to this path of comic creation. So all along I love anime and manga. A few notable ones include Naruto. Like as you know, in the Singapore way, basically is the story of our boys two men, right? And then, so it has easy to understand. Yeah, so it has accompanied me for many years. And then another notable comic is Bakuman. Not sure if you all have heard of it. It's basically a story about two high school students in Japan. One is a writer and one is an artist. So they pair up together and try to create comics from scratch. So they show us how they actually went to find publishers and then submit their works to the editors, and then how they actually draw from scratch, storyboarding to the final phase. So basically this manga put an idea into my mind that maybe I could try something like that as well. So that's why in 2015 I did some research about comics creation and the industry in Singapore. So I found there's this Pura Comixmag call for submission for their program. It's basically a comics mentorship program organized by the Singapore Comics Society. The requirements then, I think, wasn't too difficult. They needed me to submit some character design, storyboard, and the synopsis. So I submitted, and then from there, they contacted me, and that eventually gave birth to the comic title that I have currently. Yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for Deborah, Kania, and the Japanese Studies Department for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. So, my name is Mizore. I'm from Indonesia. I've been working drawing comic commercially about 10 years. So I start in university, and it's my main job right now, but I'm a freelance. Currently, I'm working with Tapas Media. It's a Webtoon, a publisher, and ongoing right now. So, I want to talk about my background. I've been drawing comics since forever, I guess since I'm 2 years old. So I've been drawing in my parents' bedroom, the wall. But so my parents know that I have a talent in art, and they supporting me until now. So what interests me about comic is because I watched an anime. It's called Cardcaptor Sakura. If anyone hear about it, it's an oldies anime. So I grew up and I have my first comic that made me fall in love with a Japanese comic. It was very beautiful for a girl like me. So I spend a lot of my free time in school drawing. So my school book is full of my drawing, and it's never stopped until I like drawing comic, watching anime, and Japanese culture is. We Indonesian read a lot of. We grew up with a Japanese comic instead of American. So it's kind of influenced me to choose my undergraduate in. I study Japanese literature in university, and my department. The head of the department asked me if I want to make a manga club. So this opened a path to me. So I know about the local community, the comic community. I know I met a lot of local comic artists. After I graduate, I told my parents that, Dad and Mom, I want to be a comic artist. What? They was like, can you leave with drawing? But yes, so I like to join an anime convention in Indonesia in a lot of city, and then I also have international fans. So because I join a lot of fandom from anime or from a popular movie like Kingsman, so I have a lot of customers from overseas that makes me, oh okay, I will open an online store. So yeah, so I have money already after graduate between making comic from fandom and also doing original webtoon. In 2019, Tapas editor approached me and asked me if I want to become an exclusive with them. So I signed a contract and I worked with them for 2 years to finish the comic. So The Successful is my first comic. And then in last year, it's like a pandemic baby because everyone at home. I'm working at The Successful. And after that, I continue with my second comic that ongoing right now. It's called You Love Me Too. It's ongoing right now on Tapas and Webtoon. Next. And this is the sample of my work. It's available on Tapas as an early access, so it's free. You can read it for free. But if you want to read more, you can unlock. That's it. Thank you. That's it.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me and thank you for having all of us here. We're very excited to share our stories with you and hopefully we could, help you guys in any kind of ways. So my name is Suraya. My artist name is Jonsuraya. So people ask me a lot, why are you called John? They call me John. So the story is a bit boring, so I'm not going to share with you guys. So just call me John. All right. So I'm currently a lecturer in a local university in Malaysia. I'm teaching animation and digital gaming, and I'm mostly focusing on pre-production side, which deals with character design, storyboard, and before going into the production. I'm also using comics in my class. So I usually give them a sample of 1 or 2 pages of comics for introduction for the topic that week. And I'm also working with a few clients not so much, but I dabble. But let's see some of the works. This was assigned. This was commissioned by the government. You know, they asked me to draw a bunch of characters representing multicultural. You know, in Malaysia, it's always a multicultural thing. So featuring Malay, Chinese, Indian, and Sabah and Sarawak region. And a local animation company also asked me to draw some characters for their stop motion animation. So I started with the 2D drawings first, and then they transformed it into 3D. And I'm also involved in an animation production. I'm the creator and also a creative director of some of the projects. The one that we finished working on is called Mitsui-NUS. So Mitsui-NUS was developed back in 2015. It took us 1 year to finish 26 episodes time, 11 minutes. So 11 minutes, and they are already broadcasted on TV. Okay, and this is the comic that I would say I spend most of my time with currently. It's called Jejon di Jepun, so Jejon in Japan. Back in 2015, I went to Japan for 4 years to finish my PhD. I went to Kyoto Seika Daigaku. I studied comic studies in Kyoto, and during that time I published a series of my adventures in Japan. These are the cover for all the books. This is the latest one, Jejon di Jepun 5, and I will finish on the 6th volume. Phew. So as you can see, my art style is not similar to Clio's Mizore, because I'm very much influenced by Ranma, if you guys are familiar with this series. So I really like to see my character, bounce from panel to panel. It's very energetic, so I usually got that comment, "You look like your character." Oh, thank you. So that's the highest compliment when someone told me that. Okay, and some of my process, I usually start with a very, very rough thumbnail, and it's very small. My thumbnail is really small, so I can see the overall look of the pages. And then, some of it. And then these are some of my line art and the final rendering. And okay, so just to show you, this is my project that I'm working on next after the Jejon di Jepun series. So hopefully you can pray for me that I'm able to work on this. It's been sitting in my brain for the past 5 years, so hopefully it get to be published soon. I think that's about it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so my name is Lily, but my artist name is Olivecoat. The story for that is, it's also a long story, so I won't tell you. Okay, so next please. Let me just read this real quick. Olivecoat is the author and artist of the Webtoon Honbarian, which has amassed over 3 million views. Blah, 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 blah. From a young age, Olivecoat fashioned her spare notebooks into amateur comics, drawing inspiration from the mangas that were circulated by her friends. Throughout her 4 years of high school, she and her elder sister managed to fill 10 notebooks with comics. Once she entered college, Olivecoat gave up drawing in order to pursue a career in interior design. So, like many other Filipinos, we were like, okay, childhood's over, time to adult, So for 10 years, she worked as an independent interior designer, building her practice from the ground up. Her short stint in interior design produced more than 70 residential and commercial projects in various locations around the Philippines. And during the COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020, she suddenly found herself with too much time and decided to revisit her old comic in order to pass the time, because that's just who I am. I can't not sit and do nothing. So these are my titles. That's kind of an exaggeration because Gate of Dreams, for example, is only 1 episode. So that was a contest entry, but it's still a title. And Orchard House is a Patreon exclusive comic. So what Patreon is like You sign up to support the artist, and then you unlock exclusive content. And then Honbarian is my main webtoon, which I publish for free on the Webtoon and Tapas apps, so they're free to read. So in high school, I was studying mangas. So I don't know what it was like for all of y'all in the early internet days, but in the Philippines, we would just read whatever we could get our hands on. Which is, with very limited internet, we would just be passing around files. And the files that would be passed around were Hanakimi, Naruto, and a few others, so mostly just those two in my school. That's what they were passing around, so that's all I read. And those are the only mangas. You went to a bookstore, you couldn't find any mangas anywhere. So it's all comics and it's all Western stuff. So there's no Japanese anything. You'd have to go to Japan, and then when you go to Japan, you can't even read it because unless you know how to read Japanese. So our only hope was scanlations. And that's Hanakimi, Naruto, and Kazehikaru. So again, Kazehikaru, I don't think it's a very popular manga, but my friend happened to bring it.
Published in Indonesia.
Oh, yeah, okay, so it got published in Indonesia. So my friend just happened to bring it home from Japan, and it was an English copy, so I read it. But that's the only reason I was able to read it, Just anything I could get my hands on my tiny island. Yeah, humble beginnings. These are just a few of my very early works. Gosh, I don't even remember what year this is from. The first one is like mixed media watercolor, and then I added sparkles in Photoshop because I just didn't know how to do that with watercolor. And then I tried to do a manga thing, and that took me like a whole month for one page. So I just did not do page 2 after that. It knocked me out. It knocked me out. Like I was drawing that on, I was researching tips, right? And it said draw on a big page. So I drew on a big page. And by the time I finished that big page, I was knocked out. And then these are some of my early works, which I posted on the now kind of obsolete platform DeviantArt. In 2021, I dove into webtoons. So for those who don't know, a webtoon is a type of digital comic that originated in South Korea and is read vertically by scrolling down on a computer or a smartphone. Webtoon panels are arranged vertically rather than in a paginated style, which makes them easier to read on a small device. The vertical scroll format offers a unique, immersive, and more cinematic experience as it allows the author more control over the story's pacing and surprise panel reveals. So you ever get that feeling sometimes when you're reading a comic and you're starting on the upper left, but your eyes just go straight down to the lower right, and you're like, no, I'm not reading that yet, no! But like the lower right is already screaming at you like spoilers. So that doesn't happen on Webtoon because as you scroll, you scroll panel by panel, so whatever is a surprise reveal stays a surprise. So that's the advantage of the Webtoon platform. So here's some examples of sequential art, sequences in storytelling. So conveying movement and animation and emotion. So these are just like, actually this is part of a portfolio that I submitted somewhere, I forgot where. But yeah, it's just it's a collection of the different kinds of emotions that I've been able to convey in the webtoon by one character. Line work, so I start from a rough sketch and then I refine. I've been told that my line work is almost like the perfect mix between pencil and digital work. And funny enough, the only reason I picked this brush is because I cannot connect lines to save my life, And like a sketchy brush is just so much more forgiving. You can't even tell that I stopped here, connected here. Like if I did that with like a smooth, streamlined brush, you would tell immediately, like this was not one stroke. So yeah. Landscapes and backgrounds. I actually used SketchUp for these backgrounds. I guess that's the side effect of my career as an interior designer is I learned the program, so I was able to like put things together, and now I make one background, I use it forever. Because backgrounds are the bane of my existence. So establishing shots, I guess this is what happens at the start of each scene. It's like you establish the characters' positions within the room, you give context, so you give hierarchy. So normally what happens is like the characters higher up on the image are like higher in the hierarchy compared to those in the bottom. And color grading. So yeah, we have like flats and colors, and then we overlay, and then we add some warm lights just to sort of set the mood. Like it's just to help tell the story basically, and establish like the right emotion for the scene. And that's it. Thank you so much.
It's about art style. So Indonesian artists also copying what we read. So it's a bit similar that because we learned about it. So art style is influenced by Japanese comic, and also many of us artists possibly making an original character with a Japanese name. So we are more familiar with Japanese culture because we grow up with the comic. It's influenced me in terms of how to draw expression and various storytelling. It's influenced me also, and it is also influenced me in choosing my major in university.
Okay, for me, if I were to rethink, the first time I was exposed to manga was when I was 7 years old. So I used up my pocket money to buy Doraemon and Sailor Moon. So the first thing that I noticed when reading manga was the storyline, not the character. It's the story first. So it dwells me in, and I was so into it. And I feel like I want to try to do one too. So that's when I started drawing my own comics. For me, I feel like my comics, my development in adapting comics and art is that manga teach me how to understand the manga hyogen, the appearance of manga, and not just the character design. It's the paneling, how you draw the paneling, the speech bubbles, the onomatopoeia. It's not just the visual and the text, how they communicate with each other. So for me, that is manga.
For me, it's the same. Basically, reading manga has influenced me in different aspects. The art style, the genre, the type of story that I would like to work on, and the way of presentation. Because for mangas, I always feel that there's a lot of impossible things happening, far-fetched stuff, things that you just made up. Like in One Piece, Luffy has this ability of stretching his body, and then in Naruto there are all this Sharingan and very cool powers. So it kind of opens up my imagination. It's like anything is possible as long as you make them convincing. For art style wise, I'm more attracted to the style of manga like Black Butler. There's another not so mainstream one, Pandora Hearts. And when I was very young, I was also a fan of Sailor Moon. Yeah, so I like I like to draw pretty girls, pretty boys, this kind of thing. Yeah. Thank you.
When I got my hands on my first manga, I was like, ew, why is it in black and white? You know what I mean? Archie was colored, which was super feast for the eyes, right? And then manga was just black and white, like, I don't want to read this, where's the color, And then I was like, I have nothing else to do, it's a long summer, we have no internet, I have the files, I'm just going to read the scanlations. And then I realized that they are able to achieve so much with so little, given the restrictions of the medium of being black and white, or you can't even really have a true grayscale, they use screen tones. So I really appreciate that they were able to maximize the tools and devices that they had, given the limited medium that they had. So a lot of the things that influenced my work from manga are, like you guys, the panelings, the text, the flow, also like, for example, the sense of movement, like how characters move. I think it's done very well in manga.
For me, when I first started drawing professionally, it was just a few of us, female artists in Malaysia. I think I can count my fingers, around 5 artists at that time, and I was one of the youngest ones. Yeah, but you know, fast forward to 5, 6, 10 years after that, suddenly there is like a huge wave of female artists in Malaysia. Yeah, and I think it has to do with the internet as well, that helped them, you know, they have access to a lot of things from the internet and they explore on their own. So I'm very happy to see that. And what I like about that is that they come to me. They actually contacted me, you know, asking some tips and how to publish. But for me, they're very much advanced as compared to me now, because these artists are publishing on Webtoons, and they prefer to publish online rather than doing the conventional way, because the publishers are quite, you know, particular in selecting artists to publish. But with online, they can just simply, you know, like Webtoons and Tapas, they're giving them a platform to publish their books. Yeah, so I think the internet and this platform encourage young and female artists to give them a platform to have a say, you know, to voice out their ideas, their works. I'm very proud to say that in Malaysia we do have a community of female artists now that is very supportive of each other, and yeah, and it's the parents as well. The parents also approach me. They always have this question, my daughter can draw, what should I do now? Like, they're very clueless. I just told them to encourage their kids to draw, and they will figure it out after.
I would say that, you know, growing up, I think the earliest comic creators in the Philippines were male, and these days there are more emerging female artists, especially because of Webtoon, like Webtoon and Tapas and online platforms. You know, it's so easy to get your work out these days compared to before. So it's much more. It gives more opportunities really for everyone, not just women, everyone really who has access to the internet and who doesn't these days. So.
It's definitely tied to social media, because right now I'm working with a digital, right? A digital comic version, a webtoon version. When I start joining a fandom, when I start making a doujinshi, I was already in the community, in the internet community. I don't know if you guys still remember Life Journal. Yeah, yeah. It was my first time joining like a global forum, and that was the first time I learned English. So I learned English because I joined a fandom. It was Harry Potter. So a lot of my friends was American and from United States, and I also got my first commission from Harry Potter fans. So it definitely tied. So after Life Journal, people was moving into Tumblr. It's from social media to a lot of blogging. Then after that, I also gained a lot of followers. I post art there. I can promote my store and everything. And then after that, people from Tumblr moving to Twitter. It's kind of important for us, especially in the art community, to, you know, show our art to the public. It's easier in the social media. We can communicate with other artists and also fans. Yeah, so the thing is, people also moving into TikTok, and I don't know how to use TikTok. I already making my own comic, and then I have to marketing my comic too, but there's too much social media that I have to use, so I just stick to Twitter and Instagram right now. I want to share my first comic process. It was start with a meme. So I saw a funny GIF. I draw a very short comic and then post it on my Tumblr, and people was like, continue. And I was like, okay, I will continue. So I draw it based on meme, and then it somehow got signed with Tapas. So we gotta start from somewhere. I guess the downside of that, because I don't think about how long this story gonna be. So it got a bit shaky in the plot line, the season 1. I think my advice for people who starting up is just start from a one shot. It's the easiest way. Don't think about, like a Naruto or One Piece. Don't make a really long series. Stick to one shot. So you make a character. What do you want to tell a story about? Practice first. Because I practice a lot in doing comic, because I make a lot of fan book. It's a doujinshi, so that is my practice before I delve into original with my own character.
You have to start with something that is disposable, something that you have no pressure working on, something that's like, even if it sucks, it's okay, it's just practice, and I'm still gonna be proud of it because I finished it. So how are you gonna finish it if it's as long as One Piece or Naruto? It's gonna take you ages and ages, you're gonna be old and gray before you finish it, and then you won't even, I'm just saying, like, the closure is important because you learn a lot in the process of storytelling. Like, the more you do it, the more you learn. Your episode 30 is not going to be the same as your episode 1. So if you start with your masterpiece, by the time you're at episode 30, you're going to want to go back and redraw episode 1. And you don't want to do that to your masterpiece. So what Mizore said about one-shots is it's a valid point. You start with a short story, simple plot, nothing too complicated, just something small. And then once you finish that, you've learned so many lessons that maybe you can be more well-equipped to tackle on a bigger project. So don't be intimidated by the scope of work, just start. Like, it doesn't matter, for example, Webtoon, if you publish on Webtoon, you can just take it out the next day if you're not happy with it. You can scrap out the episodes if you're not happy with them later on. It's called Webtoon Canvas because you can literally just rip out the canvas, start a new canvas. So, try not to be too pressured about it. Just start, because if you don't start, you're never going to finish anything. So, that's it.
Sometimes if you turn it into a job immediately, it might take the fun away because you're so stressed about the results, whether people like it or not, how many people are buying your books, how many views you are getting. So that's the advice for me.
Same with Clio. Start as a hobby first, but keep a lookout for competitions. And I'm not sure about Singapore, but in Malaysia we do have incentive and grants provided by the government, and they focus on comics. So the deadline for that one is much more forgivable as compared to weekly deadlines that we're facing now. So in Malaysia, this type of grants usually go for a year. So meaning your deadline is a year, which is ample of time, and you got paid for it. And I've also heard there's this one international manga competition by the Japanese government that's also available. So keep a lookout from local and also international competitions. That could help train you for deadlines. thinking into going for a career.